ran across a dealer that has a Kawasaki Vaquero. It's a 2020 with like 1,300 miles on it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Cage Free Moto. My goal for this channel is to share my story as a re-entry rider and anything motorcycle related. The last few rides that I've been doing on the weekends have been to go look at dealers, check out some motorcycles, and it really is because of two things. One, this is a great motorcycle, the Vulcan 900 Classic. I put bags on it, large Viking, and also Saddleman single seat rider seat, and it's actually comfortable. And this motorcycle is great back here in these back roads. It does well on the freeway, and it's a very well balanced motorcycle and very forgiving for re-entry. I'm very happy with this motorcycle. The only thing, if you've been watching my channel, that I've been sharing quite a bit about is, you know, as a re-entry rider, I took it slow. I started in neighborhoods and then these back roads that you see me on. Then I took a MSF course, which then got me my license. It still took my time. I was going a little further out, just staying on some back roads and some twisties, and you know, as we grow as a rider, you want to go further out. So I started getting on the freeway, and that's where I noticed that I was like, whoa, this motorcycle does this buzzing, but I have learned that this is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it doing that. So when you hit about 75, you know, freeway speeds here, at least in California, 75, if you go over that, you can really feel like the buzzing within the floorboards and the seat and, you know, the handlebars. Although I was on a long ride last weekend on the freeway, about over an hour, and after a while you just kind of get used to it and just go. It didn't even bother me. But I think since I want to do longer rides, I'd love to have something that has a little more options that can I imagine that it will still have some buzzing depending on your speed on a motorcycle, but also maybe something with some more options, like cruise control would be nice, ABS and traction control. All those would be nice, especially if I want to go on long, even if it's a day, you know, a few hours away. It just adds a little more to the confidence, in my opinion. But I'm not taking anything away from this motorcycle. I think for what it was built for, it does great. And I've said it before, if I had to do it all over again, I would still buy this motorcycle. So, but really, it's really the performance on the freeway that I'm looking for, something that can handle it a little better. Again, nothing wrong with this one, but better meaning less buzzing. And I wasn't really looking for anything like the big fairing type motorcycles. What I've been looking at is the Heritage from Harley Davidson, along with the Harley Davidson Road King. But it's really hard to find inventory at a Harley Davidson dealer, even though they had an early release this year on their new models. They seem to only have plenty of road glides and street glides, and here and there you'll see a Heritage, but I've been leaning a lot more towards the Road King Standard, the 107, which is, you know, kind of this similar look from the Classic, meaning there's no fairing, there's nothing. So that's what I was looking for. and nobody has it. I mean, every dealer I went to. And I think we can all agree that Harley Davidsons are pretty expensive. And yesterday I was just browsing around. I think it was on the Facebook Marketplace, and I ran across a dealer that has a Kawasaki Vaquero. It's a 2020 with like 1,300 miles on it. And it has the big fairing here in the front, which I'm not a huge fan of. I was first attracted to, I love that imperial blue color and the price, and it's a Kawasaki, because I have no complaints with this one. The Vulcan Vaquero is like, how can I go wrong if this is already proven to me as a really good motorcycle? And all the reviews I find on YouTube on the Vaquero have been good. I think I saw one where they did a shootout with like 10 motorcycles. Harley Davidson, of course, Road Glide, Street Glide, BMW motorcycles. It was an older video because they also had the Yamaha, the Eluder, and a few others. And majority of those guys picked everything else except for the Vaquero, which I was kind of disappointed in. But they didn't say anything bad about the Vaquero. They just said it was comfortable. It absorbed the bumps really well. It's not as fast as the other ones, but you know, if you're just going to go cruising, I don't think that really matters. I'm not going to enter a race. It's a little warm. I had to open up the vent. So I'm going to go check out the 2020 Vaquero 1700. There's also been a Harley Davidson dealer I've been wanting to go to in the same area. So these are over by Napa, California, both of these dealers. But I'm really going to this place with the Vaquero. But for some reason it doesn't work out. Maybe I'll go to the Harley Davidson dealer. I doubt they're going to have anything. And I'll just be driving home with this one, which is a good problem to have. Another thing that I hear about the Vaquero is that compared to the Harley Davidson, there's just not a lot of support from the network, like third-party parts, you know, if you want to customize your motorcycle. Although I do see people showing off their Vaqueros really tricked out, and I'm not really trying to do that anyway. I mean, I'm happy with it just being stock, says the guy who put a Saddleman seat on this one. But maybe I'd update the seat. Who knows? It might be comfortable. I'm not going to be in a rush to update anything. So the Vaquero, for the price, it has so much. It has the Kawasaki Act, which is if you give some braking on the front or the rear, it'll apply a little bit on the opposite for you. I think you have to be going over 8 miles an hour for it to do it, which is always good for those unknown moments, you know. If you end up like smashing that rear brake, the ABS will come in, and it will also apply some front brake for you. And it has traction control. It just has that fairing. I'm not a big fan of the way it looks in the front with the round headlight. It just looks like they threw a fairing over something like this. But it's kind of grown on me as I kept watching videos. If you just think of what the look Kawasaki was going for, it was kind of a 70s muscle car look, and you know, they did have round headlights. So if you kind of buy into that theme, it's like, okay, I see. It makes sense. And the one that it would compete with that I've heard is look like Harley Davidson, which are pretty expensive. Because the Vaquero has a frame-mounted fairing. One thing that kind of worries me about the Vaquero is, other than size, you know, so much heavier. Yeah, so I'm worried about the Vaquero. The clutch handles here on the left is hydraulic, and Harley Davidson got away from it for a reason. And one of the reasons that I hear people prefer the cable clutch over hydraulic is you can kind of adjust that friction zone where you like it. And someone that I saw a test ride on YouTube on the Vaquero, and someone did say, they didn't complain about it, they just said it released much higher. Yeah, it's kind of a nice break to get off the freeway and take the surface street. More wind. So as I said, I went to go test drive and possibly purchase the Kawasaki Vaquero 2020. They had it at a really good price. I'm not really a fan of that huge fairing, and when I took that motorcycle out, one, the dealer was super awesome. You know, yeah, of course they got my information and my driver license and proof of insurance, but they just let me take it, and they say, take it as long as you want, take it for an hour, 2 hours, whatever you want. So I really didn't want to be out that long, but definitely wanted to take it out there. And it had power, it did everything it was supposed to do. It actually, I was worried that it being much bigger than, you know, the Kawasaki Classic, you know, how's the balance on that one when you're approaching a red light and, you know, in slow traffic. And actually it did really well. I was actually pretty impressed by it. The only thing that I noticed as soon as I sat on it is you're sitting further up, like on top of the bike, opposed to on this one, on the Classic, I feel like I'm sitting in the bike. But, you know, I'm like, hey, bigger bike, I get it, that's fine. And then another thing I started noticing as I was riding is, for me, the handlebars were too low. And they told me that was set at stock setting and they can lift them up. But at least for my test ride, I just felt like my wrists or the palms of my hands were getting a little tired because I found myself just leaning in. Like this bike, I'm just like, it's a perfect triangle. The other one, I was kind of like, since I was up higher, I was leaning into it. So that was kind of a bummer. But that was an easy fix, right? Again, either bar risers or adjust them. I think the thing that was kind of a killer for me was, as much as I've said in other videos and even in this one, is, you know, this wind gets tiring with no windshield on there. But the difference with that big fairing from the Vaquero, it did its job very well, because I had no wind. I mean, I felt nothing. I felt so much nothing that I was like actually getting hot. Like I was driving with my visor open just to try to get some air. I unzipped my jacket a bit, anything to get some air. I was like burning up. And as soon as I got back, I mean, first thing I did was just strip off my jacket. And that was kind of the killer for me. Yeah, it was a bummer that the handlebars weren't quite right. You know, when you want to go for a test ride, it didn't feel right, but I knew it would be fixed. So that to me, I think, was the killer. The salesperson there, Ray, she was super nice, willing to work with me, and I know she could have made the deal happen. And I was actually ready to pull the trigger. I thought I was going to come home in a Vaquero, but no such luck. It just didn't feel right. I didn't want to come home, and I probably could have grown into it. It just, you know when you know, right? So I got lucky with this one. When I bought this one, I didn't have my license, so someone else test drove it, but I sat on it, and it just felt right. So I was okay with taking that chance, and luckily it worked out for me. You know, the Vaquero obviously is bigger. My knees aren't as high as they are here. You know, I noticed that difference. So it's a bit more comfortable. When I hit some bumps, they were definitely, it absorbed them well, the Vaquero. So basically, the Vaquero is an awesome bike. It just wasn't a fit for me. And I literally stood there, and the salesperson was like standing with me. She was being really nice and not really pushing. And then I told her, you know, I'm really kind of on the fence on this. And she's like, yeah, I could see that. And she's new to selling motorcycles. She was selling cars before, but she wasn't pushy like you would think a car salesman are. So I would definitely go back there if she ever called me and says they have something that that may fit my needs. Absolutely. And it's a 2-hour drive one way. One thing I did notice when changing gears in the Vaquero, it's not as forgiving as the Vulcan 900. You can definitely tell if, oh, you should have been on a lower gear. It's not like scary, but you can feel it. I like that you can see the gear you're in. That was nice. I'm approaching a corner and it wasn't like I had to look down. It was like right in front of you. So you can look at it and go, okay, oh, I'm in third. Let me go drop down to second. And just went on my way. I was really happy with it, driving with it. I was worried because it's so much heavier with that fairing. I mean, it was balanced very well. I was able to kind of flick it around without a problem. And when I hit bumps like what I'm hitting now, it was much nicer. That's one thing I did like. So I hit those bumps and it was like not as jarring as they are on this one. But it should be right. It's, it's a bigger motorcycle. I'm kind of disappointed that it didn't work out. But that's okay. I'm not going to force it. It has to be right. We'll just keep looking. One thing for sure is, since I've been taking the Vulcan 900 on longer rides to go check out motorcycle dealers, I've been getting used to the buzzing, meaning that I know it's not broken. It is what it is, and it runs fine. And now it's at the point where I don't even think about it. Well, if you watched this long, I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and stay vigilant. Bye.